Let's go. Are we actually on? You're here listening with Kayla
and Georgia,
bringing you real, raw, and relatable chats on the Evolve to Thrive podcast.
Stay tuned because shit's about to get juicy as we dive into all things health, fitness, life, and relationships.
Let's go. Woo. Before we get into this episode, a quick disclaimer. The content discussed in this episode is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional, medical, or mental health advice. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, emotional eating, or binge eating, please seek assistance and support from a qualified health professional. We do have Lifeline Australia, Beyond Blue, the Butterfly Foundation, and Eating Disorders Victoria. The details below in the show notes. All right, let's get into it.
On today's episode, we are accompanied by an amazing health, fitness, and mindset coach, Rani Curry, the founder of Evolution Coaching. Rani is an inspiration with an incredible story, which she'll be diving right into today. Rani has recently launched her own mindset workshop, Embody Your Shine, that both Kayla and I were so fortunate enough to be a part of. We were both gained so much from this experience, and we are so proud of the impact you are making on people, especially at such a young age. Thanks, girl. So without further ado, let's welcome Rani to explore her passion for mental health, her story of overcoming depression, anxiety, and binge eating, and of course, the valuable lesson. God, I'm getting out of breath here. The valuable lesson that she shares in her workshop that provides such a safe and inclusive space for everyone. So welcome, Rani.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I'm sorry that you were running out of breath.
There's
just a lot to say, isn't there?
There is a lot to say. There's so much to say about you. But how are you? How's your week been?
I'm great. The week's been crazy since I've come back from Sydney, but it's fine.
Oh my God, yeah. Tell the listeners why you're in Sydney.
Okay. So there's a guy called Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins. He's basically like created life coaching. He's been in the industry for like 40 plus years. So he's super well known. He's basically like a motivational speaker. And he was running his thing called Unleash Your Power Within. So that was in Sydney. It was a 4-day event. And I actually manifested the tickets. I also am convinced I manifested this podcast because I knew you guys were going to ask me before you asked. I just didn't tell either of you. Yeah. I wanted to wait until I was here.
That's amazing. Tell us.
Yeah. So basically I was in Gold Coast earlier in the year for a business/personal development workshop. And I remember hearing about Tony Robbins and I'd seen his face, but like the name didn't really click to me. Anyway, my client's actually qualified in NLP, which is what I'm getting qualified in. And yeah, which is very exciting. And she was explaining to me about this guy. And I was like, oh yeah, like, I don't know. Like I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. I'm surprised you'd never heard of him. Because
but I've seen his face and I've heard him talk, but the name didn't click to me. Anyway, I was telling her how amazing Gold Coast was and whatever. And she goes, oh, like I want to do something for you. I was like, oh yeah, Suze, like I don't know what you're going to say. And she goes, I have like 2 free tickets and I want you and a friend to go. Just gave me the ticket to go.
That's so good.
Oh,
for a
my
4-day
God.
event, and I'm pretty sure the tickets we had were
like $1,000.
Yeah, they're very expensive tickets. So she gave me 2 free tickets.
It's wild how things fall into your lap. When you bring yourself to what the universe is calling, it will literally give you what you want.
But what's funny is as well, when I was in Gold Coast, I remember seeing him on TikTok or something happened and I remember clicking on the web link and looked at the prices and I was like, oh,
forget it.
I was like, yeah, it's not happening. Like I've just blown so much money in Gold Coast. Like I was like, I'm all about investing in myself, but I was like, it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
And then that's when I came back and she gave me the free tickets and I said to myself, I was like, if it was cheaper, I would do it.
What's the workshop include? Because it's a 4-day event,
so
isn't
it's
it?
very full on.
Yeah.
So each day has its own theme. So Tony was there for day 1 and day 3. I would say they were by far my favorite days.
Yeah.
So day 1, it was all about like creating change in the sense of you have unhealthy habits to create them.
Yeah.
Now this is not in a cocky way, but I have changed quite a lot and I got rid of a lot of unhealthy habits.
Yeah.
So I kind of struggled with that exercise a little bit because I was like, I don't do a lot anymore that's like unhealthy.
Yeah.
But we actually walked on hot coals.
Oh,
Burning
yeah.
holes.
I've actually heard of him doing that.
It's really cool. So like Oprah Winfrey's done it. He's coached like Tiger Woods, Donald Trump.
Trumpy.
Trumpy. Who else? Like Serena Williams, like all of these like famous athletes and stuff. And
what's the benefits of that?
Coaching them.
No.
So firewalking.
Yeah.
So it's basically to prove to you that your mind's stronger than what you think.
So it's sort of like ice baths.
Kind of, but like It's been around for thousands of years. Get worse.
The opposite.
But fucking worse.
Yeah, so it was like, fuck, I don't know how much it was. I want to say like 200-ish degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in like, in Celsius, but the fire was burning all day and then they burnt it all down to
Did you have
coals.
blisters on your feet?
So I didn't burn. No, my friend did. She burnt a little bit. But basically the whole point of it is you're supposed to be in a state like a trance or like a deep meditative state that you're so focused on just like you don't even think about the coals. You don't, like, if you think about, oh, I'm about to walk across these fucking burning hot coals, I might burn my foot. No shit, you're going to burn. So like, it was talking about the power of your mind. And the whole time I just walked across, like, it was a bit culty, this part, but I'll give you a demonstration. So, this is the only culty part. But basically we're walking out of the arena and we're all following each other to go outside to these like fucking lines of coals, and we're all clapping and we're just saying yes, like we're like yes, 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 yes. And I was like,
I already feel like I'm in a trance.
Yeah, that was the only culty part. And then we got outside, but I like basically it was to do with like your physiology and how like clapping is also supposed to distract your mind, and also you're priming your like nervous system, and also the whole like where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? So if I'm saying no, like no shit, I'm not going to want to walk across it. But basically because you're saying yes, like if you think about good things, you say yes. Or you think about like green, you go like go. So like basically.
It's just changing the way you're actually
so
thinking.
basically by clapping as well, it stops that little voice in your head.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm about to cross these really hot coals.
Do you find that you're doing that with everything now? Yes.
Well, let me tell you, when I get under a heavy barbell, I go, you fucking walked on coals. Why can't you lift this?
100%.
Yeah. So it was
I'm going to
good.
use that.
Yeah.
Just before I
come.
Stop being a little bitch.
Stop being a fucking little bitch. Just squat.
But yeah, so that was day 1. And then day 3, we did a thing called Dickens process. Have any of you heard of that?
No.
Nah.
Yeah, so it's very, very full on. That's why I actually lost my voice from screaming and yelling and crying and all the things. But basically you're supposed to write down your 3 biggest limiting beliefs. So whatever they are, then you're supposed to write down, which I'm contemplating doing this at my next workshop. So who knows?
Please do.
Who knows?
We're coming.
I'll tell you. Sorry. Right. So you write it down. You might have different thoughts after this. So you write it down and you write down what you've already lost by having this limiting belief. Right. And then from there, you're supposed to write the worst possible answer. So a limiting belief was, for me, there was that I am not successful until I have the husband, the house, the kids, which is so stupid. I can be successful right now. I am successful right now, but I had this belief, and you have to write down what could happen if you don't clear it out. And once you do that, then basically you go into a deep meditative state. And then what he does is he makes you feel that feeling in your body. So it's short-term pain essentially. And what you're supposed to do, it's supposed to associate the pain with that thought, because your heart runs towards pleasure, not pain. So if I'm thinking pain about that negative thought now that I'm not successful, I'm going to think that's painful, and I'm going to want to think the opposite of it. So it's basically how to rewire that
Your brain.
belief system.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, you say, how does that feel on your body? Like where do you feel tight? Where do you feel tingly? Everyone in the room starts crying. I've never like screamed or yelled and at something like this before, not even in breath work. But by the end of it, it was like decades and decades of you want to change, but you still haven't. Who have you let down? Who's not in your life?
How long did it take you to get into that state?
Not long, because I've done like hypnosis and I've done that sort of stuff before.
Yeah.
Some people I don't think made noise. I think for them maybe that was uncomfortable. Like it was a mixed bag of people really. But for me, like I found that my hand was around my throat, like tight, and I was holding my chest. So I felt tightness through my chest and through my throat. To me, when I'm holding on my throat, I feel like that's me not speaking my truth and me not saying what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I was like just screaming, just like yelling. All the people around me were all yelling and like screaming. Yeah.
I find this stuff so interesting.
It's so cool, huh?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. This is why you're here, to unpack all of this.
Yeah.
Yes. And
today.
talk more about how you're going to implement that into your new workshop. I'm so excited to go into it.
I know, I'm excited.
One of the segments that we do is a craving or a tip of the week. So
Yes.
why don't you start off with either a craving or a tip that you've got for us?
Although I kind of think that you just gave a tip, and that was that workshop.
Yeah, we can
in a way.
use that. We can use that.
Okay. Yeah. Do
Unless
you want to
you've
go with
got
that?
another one.
There was another one.
Because it's not really a tip. That's something that
recommended-
you
okay.
went there.
Okay, so I have a tip. Well, it's a recommendation. It's a podcast called Modern Wisdom, and it is with, what is his name? I've forgotten it. Anyway, here's an episode with Alex Hormozy. So some of you might know who that is. But he's just like in the motivational space. I had only recently heard of him, but him and this bloke who runs the Modern Wisdom did this 3 hour long podcast. I haven't finished it.
3 hours.
3 hours,
yay.
but it's all about what's the word? Like life truths that are like not traditional or like against the grain. So it's super interesting to listen. You should listen to it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love podcasts like that.
Super against the grain and stuff. But
Yeah.
he's like very honest. And
Yeah.
he's like, let's not paint me as the hero. Like he was just being honest about his whole story. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah. I love people like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
I haven't got one today.
Yeah, you do. You were telling me about it before.
all right.
You got yourself into a bit of strife this week. Last week. So why don't you tell us? Give us a tip based off that.
All right. So I didn't actually mentally come up with a tip or a craving this week, but upon reflection, I did get a speeding fine in the mail today.
Love
That was expected on my way up to Echuca. Now, I would like to just, the tip is to just be a kind person. Smile and wave and it'll do you wonders.
Flash the eyelashes and give him a smile. Be like, how nice are you going to be today?
I should have lost my license, but I didn't. So we're very grateful. I'm going to give a gratitude today to the police,
officer. Far out.
No, so I ended up losing a point and getting a $240 fine,
Which is very good.
which good behavior bond, Kayla. Well done on your behalf. But yeah, I definitely. That's not really a tip though, because that's just saying
You're saying be a nice person.
Be a nice person. Use your kind words
And be a safe driver.
and be a safe driver. Don't speed. FYI.
If anyone here listening needs to take that advice, it's definitely me because I'm on 1 point and I'm on a good behaviour bond. I was just telling Kayla that the amount of money I am paying in fines at the moment is just outrageous.
Can you put them on payment plans?
I've got them on payment
you
plans
can.
because I'm
You can't
in
ignore
$4,500 in like paying for fines. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. All right. I was just saying the most expensive fine that I got. I forgot to pay my registration and went through a red light camera with an unregistered vehicle. So it was about $1,500. So yeah.
And you've also competed in the WBFF, which we know is not the cheapest federation.
No. So I have just been like, yeah.
You're telling me
Money's tight at the moment.
Touch the subject.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Tip of the day, don't speed, do the speed limit.
And if
Be a
you
good
do
driver.
and if you do get caught speeding, be a nice person to the cop.
Flatter your eyelashes.
Yes. Mine would be I've been really into truffle lately, like truffle flavoring. Have you ever had truffle like pizza or truffle pasta?
Is that cheese?
I think it's mushroom. Yeah, it's mushroom.
Kinda close.
They sell this truffle sauce to cook with your pasta at Woolies. And honestly, it's unreal. If anyone here is a truffle lover, get it. Because
What
it's
are the
very
calories in that stuff?
that's one of those ones where you turn a blind eye to.
Okay.
That's when you have a high
Post-comp.
yeah,
That's 6
post-comp.
weeks, 6 weeks time.
Yeah. That's a future you issue.
Yeah. All right. But delish.
It was delicious. It's very potent. The more potent, the better.
Go on. All right. But, well, I'll just think about that later.
Yeah.
That could be your craving now.
Let's bring it back to mindset today.
Yes, let's do it.
So with today, Rani, again, we are so grateful to have you here because you have a story that's quite phenomenal as well. And I think that the story that you are about to share with our listeners is the prime reason as to how this has kind of transformed or created the passion that you have, which has then led to the career that you're doing now. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about your story.
Yep.
And then how that has kind of fueled your passion to be doing what you're doing now with all the mindset workshops that you are not only going to, but the ones that you are now going to be running yourself.
So exciting.
So let's start with that. So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about your personal story, maybe some of the hardships that you faced in your younger years to get to where you are now.
And how you first got into it.
Yep. I'm going to try so hard not to ramble because fuck, I can talk. Like
Go.
I'll be here
Ramble.
for 5 hours.
Ramble.
I swear. So I guess how it all started, like I come from a very small town. Everyone knows everything. I'm an only child, so I grew up with just like my mum and my dad. Growing up, we had a lot of like, I would say quote unquote healthy foods. I'm sure you would understand, Kayla, like there's no good and bad food. It's just you putting that label on it makes it bad. Like your body doesn't know if you're eating like chocolate versus a fruit. It doesn't know the difference. Your digestion, I mean, it might. Depends how you digest it. But basically, we had a lot of clean and like whole foods growing up. So when I would go to school, I'd always see people with like roll-ups, like tiny teddies and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't I have that? And I'm sucking.
Were you not allowed to have it?
So mum and dad just didn't buy it. And I would always ask her, like, no. Like, okay. I would swap. I would fucking swap at primary school. Like, you can't stop me from having my tiny teddies, mum. Like, seriously.
Give me the roll up.
Yeah. And then, or what would happen is that I'd have food left over and I'd go home and mum would be like, I didn't eat lunch.
Because I ate a roll up.
Because I ate a roll up with my fucking tiny teddies, mum. Like, come on. But basically, I feel like I wouldn't say I grew up in a restrictive household. My parents didn't really believe in that. Now, I believe everything in my lifetime has happened like for me and obviously not to me, and everything that's happened. If I didn't even grow up that way, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So I guess, yeah, growing up, it was a lot of like, there wasn't really any sugary treats, any chocolate lollies or anything like that in my house. It was very much a special treat. So when I would go to people's houses and stuff and they had that sort of stuff, fucking oath, I would eat that shit. Like I would, yeah, like bad.
Yeah.
But because I was super active growing up, I never really gained weight. I just maintained how my physique was. Like I didn't change because I was so active. And then I didn't notice my eating habits start to get real fucked until high school. And again, like I said, because I was playing netball like 5 times a week. Like I was very, very active. I could eat whatever I wanted, essentially. But as I got into year 11 and 12, I moved high schools. So moving schools when I was 15 is hard. It's really hard. And coming from a school that where you know the teachers by first name. Like,
why did you move?
So our school only went to year 10.
Okay. Which
is very interesting. So prep to year 10 and then you had to move to either a place called Seymour College or a place called Assumption College. So one's in Kilmore, one's in Seymour. And I went to the private school, so I went to Assumption. And I think I had like all of these like prerequisites made up in my head. Like it's going to be amazing. Like the sport's going to be amazing. Like rah, rah, rah. No, that's not what happened. And obviously I moved across with some of my friends as well, but I was also like wanting to meet new people because I've been around the same people for years and years. And I remember moving and all of year 11 was just focused on making friends. I did not care about like schooling whatsoever. The only subject I liked was PE, which
you just wanted to belong.
Yep, I just wanted to fit in. But it was funny because no matter where I went, I never felt like I belonged. And I'll get into it, but that's basically why I've created what I've created, because I never felt like I fit in wherever I went. Or I didn't feel like I ever had a friend that I could trust enough to actually be truthful, because the people that I was attracting in my life were like the popular people and they were so nasty. But then I started becoming nasty because of them. I'm sure one of you can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can all understand.
But basically when I started hanging around with this new group of friends, they had different physiques to me. So I've always been an athletic build. Like I'm quite naturally broad through my back. Also being sporty, like I did swimming when I was younger. So I feel like my back just kind of developed. Not intentionally, but it just developed. And I used to hate it because all the girls I was hanging around with were just so petite.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't I look like them? And I actually spoke about this on my first episode of my podcast. I spoke about how I developed this rule for myself that I believe that I didn't have a boyfriend or no boys were attracted to me because I didn't look the way they looked. And that was the only thing that I could pin it down to. And when I hung around with them, I was like, right, okay, how can I be like them to then attract a boyfriend or be popular or whatever the fuck I was trying to achieve back then? And one of them, she had quite a bad eating disorder. She never got diagnosed, but she had like bulimia. So she would binge and then she would splurge. Yeah. And I remember asking some of them and they would truthfully tell me what they were doing, or they would just say, I didn't eat. And they would, and they
were just so comfortable in just.
Yep. Literally talked about it. And that was the first time I was exposed to MyFitnessPal and I learned how to track. Did I know what I was doing? No.
Did anything come up like, what is this? Like, were you like, why are they doing this? Or is this unhealthy? Or were you just like, okay, I think it's part of the norm?
I think it was just like, I thought it was just the norm. And like, I thought that everyone was doing it. Like when that was like year 11, year 12, like you don't really know. And like, I don't even think I talked to my mum about it. Like my mum and I are very close. Like she's probably more like a friend than a mum, to be honest. But I don't even know if I talked to her about it. But I just remember getting her to buy me like fucking packets of pumpkin soup and shit. Because I was like, oh, well, I can only have this and I can just have a little bit of bread with it. Like I was basically unintentionally like cutting out all carbs.
And it was because like the lack of education, right?
Yep.
Yep. And all that you knew.
But again, too, like when you're in high school, you don't really care about what you're actually eating. It's more so what you look like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very focused on that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you feel shit or not. It's about like your like social status and how you look. And it's
100%.
such fucking bullshit.
Oh,
Like, it's
100%.
such bullshit. But that's kind of, I think, where I first noticed, I was like, oh, like something might be wrong here. And then basically I did non-scored, so I didn't go back for exams or anything. So I finished a lot earlier than everyone else did. And I had this goal. I was like, you know what? All these people who have like been nasty to me in year 11, like I basically cut out everyone when I went to year 12. I had like 2 friends. I was like, I don't like the person I'm becoming, and just like was very, very reserved. And from there I was like, you know what? I want to come to graduation. I want to look fucking hot. But what I did was I basically created a calorie deficit, but
You starved yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I did not eat.
yeah. So like I ate, but it was like, dude, my containers were like this fucking, you know, the size like of like a little yogurt container.
Stop.
That was like some of my meals. Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because that was literally me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I just didn't know any better. And like I feel like parents aren't educated either. Like you can't expect them to know what you should be doing to fuel your body if they don't have education.
But
Like-
they, at the end of the day, too, they don't actually know what you're eating or what you're doing or how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So if you probably had to come to your mum saying, oh, this, and this, she probably would have helped you a bit more than.
Mum is great and I love her a lot. She struggled with her eating actually when she was younger as well.
Okay.
Opposite to me. So now I still think mum could probably eat more than what she does, but that's not for me to judge. So I think mum didn't have a whole lot of education around it. My dad worked away a lot, and like he came home late a lot because they run their own business. So he wouldn't really see what I was eating either. And I just thought I was eating enough.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know. Like no one around me was eating a lot. So I was like, oh, I guess this is just what I'm supposed to be eating, you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, the times have changed. Like, what our parents think or considered healthy back then is completely different to the way that we perceive it now, which is exactly how I notice it when I talk to my parents as well. It's like that with the whole labeling of the good and the bad foods, you know, you're learning this behavior through your parents from a child. So this comes up time and time again, the more people that I speak to about this stuff. So even when you are a child, like even when you were in high school, I think if you did go and speak to your mum about it, like she probably wouldn't have been giving you the right advice that you needed to hear anyway. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So I think too, maybe I don't think I was sure, and I didn't see a problem with it. So I was like, well, I'm not going to talk to mum about it if it's like not an issue. You know what I mean? So that was like the first time that I kind of was like, this is a bit interesting. Because then once graduation was done, I stacked on the weight again, as per.
That's what I was going to say. Talk to us more about how this continued, like these distorted eating patterns kind of kept continuing.
Yep. So basically I graduated when I was 17. So I was born in January. So I started school early. Basically the second I moved 18, I moved to Melbourne for a job opportunity, which was hairdressing way back when. And basically I moved in with this housemate, and she actually used to bodybuild. And I would see her living off like,
Oh God.
the cans of tuna and rice, but she could eat like blocks of chocolate and shit, and she'd be fine. Like she's blessed. Her metabolism is blessed. Like good for her. But I would see that and be like, wow, like she looks great. So I can do that too, right? I didn't understand that everyone's different. I also didn't understand like everyone's background is also different as well. So I've seen that and gone, oh, okay, well, cool. She does it. So also I can do it.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, cool, great. I'll do it as well. But also when I moved out, I had no idea how to like cook. I remember calling my mum and I was like, Mum, how do I cut a chicken? Like, how do I cut a chicken breast? Like,
Yeah.
do not fucking know. I knew how to steam vegetables. That was about it. So I lived off like rice and fucking veg and chopped chicken breasts or pre-done meals for like quite a while.
Sounds good to me.
Vibes.
That's my life now.
But basically, once I moved out, I had no one to tell me no. And I think that's where I realized that my control issues or something was really wrong with my eating, because I stacked on weight really fast.
And the secretive eating when you live alone.
So my housemate was usually at her partner's. So I would usually be alone. So I would like go to the supermarket and buy blocks of chocolate or tubs of ice cream. Like, yep, I'll just like have a little bit. It's like a little bit. And then like I've been in the fucking freezer like 20 times.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I may as well just finish off the tub. Like there's not much left. I might as well just finish it.
It just makes sense to do that.
Yeah, it just makes sense. So then I would like finish off the tubs and like the blocks and whatever, and I would always do it in secret. And I started to get really, really uncomfortable. And I think that was like when I first noticed, fuck, okay, exercise is a chore for me, because netball used to be really fun. Like I love the team. The exercise was fun. The drills were fun. All of it was fun. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm not playing netball anymore. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I signed up for Body Fit actually. And I had this massive belief around weights make me bulky because I would go to the weight classes. I actually really liked it. But I would go to the weights classes and I would still be eating shit outside of it. And then I would stack on more weight and I'd be like, oh, what's the weights?
Yeah.
It's not the shit, it's the weights. It's not the shit diet. Like,
No, it's not the block of chocolate I'm eating. It's the weights that I'm lifting.
the weights that are making me bulky, yeah. And I almost felt like wrong to like weights, but I was like, no, I have to do cardio. And then I would avoid the fucking weights classes and I go do 1,000 burpees and be on the ski ergs and shit and actually hate it.
Yeah.
Like literally hate it. But I'm like, no, but I have to do this because this is what society has taught me, that I have to do cardio to lose weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I first got exposed to it. And then I found a PT and like coaches. I've had a lot of coaches. I'm a bit of a coach slut, but hey, you got to find one that works for you.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Michael was great, but he just wasn't my powerlifting goals. So,
Exactly.
Sorry, Michael.
Exactly. Sorry, Michael.
Sorry, Michael. Love you. I'll come back.
But it does take a long time for you to actually figure out like who you vibe with and like and you have different goals now too. So
yeah, I think finding a coach that sure produces the results, but one that actually gets along with you, like my coach now, he makes it fun.
Yeah.
And this is what I talked about
That's
on
what
my
you
podcast.
want.
Yeah, and I've just felt like in the past where I felt like a number, where I feel like the coach has got too many clients or I felt like it's too friendly. But with James, again, he's probably going to listen to this and get a big head. But with James, he just makes it fun. Like we crack jokes and shit like while we train and he just makes it fun. Versus I just feel like some other times it's just like boring and I used to dread training as a coach and I'm like, I'm around this all day.
You need that. And that's why regardless of how many coaches exist, there's always someone for somebody.
Yeah,
because,
100%.
Because of your personality, you're going to attract certain people.
Yeah. So yeah, basically went into Body Fit, then found personal trainers and whatnot. And I had no issue sticking to a meal plan, but that would only last for so long. That would only maybe last, let's say like a month or something. And I'd slowly see changes. I'd be cool. Well, I deserve this then. And then I would blow out and binge. So I basically did what's called yo-yo dieting, where I would restrict, lose weight, binge, gain weight, like up and down for a really long time. So I guess, I noticed it first when I moved out of home and then I would have phases. I would go through phases of like where I'm really good, but I'm really restrictive. But I'm thinking, I'm not restrictive, but you are. You are.
Yeah.
You're delusional if you think not. And then I would go through phases of, it doesn't matter because I'm bulking.
Yeah.
We all understand what, you guys get it.
It's funny because it's like, it's so many like, as a young girl in high school, so many girls go through that. So many girls go through and then they create eating disorders themselves.
I couldn't believe how common it was. Like, it's fucked. Like I could not believe like when I talk to some girls and like, I just don't eat. Or like when I talk to clients and they tell me about their younger siblings, I'm like, what?
The more you're in it, the more you see it.
Yep.
So this is one thing that you and I keep talking about too, is like being in the bodybuilding world, obviously like everyone's quite educated and knows what they're doing around food and training and stuff. But for the majority of people, don't know what they're doing or don't know what a macro is or don't know how to track their food or don't know what healthy food is.
Yeah. It's like when you take yourself out of the circle of the fitness industry or the bodybuilding space and you just start talking to everyday people, it's wild what you hear and the things that you feel like have, vanished and don't exist anymore,
Still
like
there.
e.g. carbs bad. That shit still
Babes,
exists.
they're still there.
People still
Very
have
much
these
so.
thoughts.
Yeah.
I literally hosted a seminar on this the other day and it's so true that people still believe the things that we think have gone and, people are still not educated.
What I think is fucked is that they'll see it on like TMZ or some shit, or they'll see it in a magazine, like Women's Health magazine or whatever the fuck. Kim Kardashian eats no carbs and she's lost weight. That's just an example. I don't even know if that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like even when I would talk to examples like my ex-partner's parents and try and chat to them about nutrition, them and like my parents, no idea. Like, I have to cut out carbs. I'm like, but you don't.
Yeah.
No, like
That's
they're
an
literally your
age.
preferred energy source. And I feel like it's very much a generational thing. Even if we backtrack to weights, like when my grandma was looking at my weight training, she's like, why do you want to lift heavy weights? I was like, why the fuck not? I was like, what do you mean, grandma? She's like, that looks really heavy. And I was like, yeah, but that's the point. I was like, it's empowering. And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. Okay, grandma. But that, you know what, maybe knitting for you is empowering, but it's not for me.
There's no point of even trying to justify it to them either because I feel like they're still kind of caught in that.
They're very much fixed in the fixed mindset.
Very much so.
Very much fixed. And you can't change someone. You just need to lead the way and people are going to want to change because they've seen you change.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically, I feel like, how I got into I figured out how my eating disorder was fucked. And then I started to go to therapy and start to understand like my triggers. And then I started to it wasn't really until this year that I understood deep down what it actually came down to. So essentially I thought men were the trigger. I thought intimate relationships was the trigger. I thought having an argument was a trigger. And they were all things that set me off, yes. But the actual core of it was that I was scared of being by myself because I didn't know who I was. And the thought of sitting in that uncomfortability, that like uncertainty was far more scary. Oh, I could just have that block of chocolate to numb myself. To me, eating disorders are self-harm because I was essentially just numbing myself from feeling any sort of emotion about myself or whatever, because I was so scared of like, I don't know what she likes. I don't know. Like my mentor actually asked me when we first started working together, what do you do for fun? I couldn't fucking answer it. I started crying and I was like,
was it therapy that kind of got you to understand that that's where it was coming from?
So I came to the realization myself. I feel like in therapy, I started to understand, like work through the triggers and try and understand why I was actually getting triggered by them. So like abandonment issues in the past, all of that sort of stuff. And I thought that it was from being abandoned by, intimate relationships and stuff or friendships, but I realized that it was abandonment from myself.
Yeah.
That I was actually scared of, because being an only child, like I spent a lot of time by myself, or even if I was around people, I still felt alone. So I think that because I had so much free time, I just like didn't even bother to get to know myself. And as a kid, you kind of don't, like you just absorb other shit around you. And then, yeah, I just don't think I was so focused on making friends that I didn't even focus on me. I was like, how can I morph into what they were like?
What were the things that you did that kind of like you were able to dig deeper and understand that that's exactly what it was? Because it takes a while to get there.
Yeah. So firstly, I would definitely say like therapy. He was great. Like he does hypnosis as well. So he's very much holistic. He's not like, he's like qualified in psychology, but it's very much a holistic approach. Like he does energy healing. He does all like the spiritual stuff. So I guess through hypnosis as well, because you can do something called timeline therapy, which basically you go back in time and talk to your younger self or talk to a part of yourself where there's an issue or a conflict and you can resolve it. And you can also be yourself in that time. You can view it, or you can actually be the other person if there's someone else in it. So you can start to see, that's more NLP, but you can start to see from their point of view.
And this is how you can link back to your childhood trauma.
Yeah. So you can do that. Hypnosis is great as well. Like, for example, if I'm talking about a time where I got abandoned or something or got left, then you can go back and talk to your younger self and be like, what did she need to hear at the time?
Yeah. I think it's even really important to kind of rewind back here and be like, okay, so you discovered an emotional eating pattern and binge eating disorder, but it was actually due to not knowing who the fuck you were.
Yeah. So I think us as like a society, we do anything we possibly can to fucking avoid ourselves, whether that's drugs, whether that's sex, whether that's alcohol, whether that's whatever.
Toxic relationships.
Yeah, literally whatever the fuck it is, because you're trying to distract yourself from the fact that you don't actually know yourself. And like, I think in this society too, it's almost everyone wants to be in a relationship, but actually why? Why do you actually want to be in one? Because like, what can't you fulfill with yourself?
Yeah.
It's so true. And until you are put in a situation where you are alone and you are single and you're an adult and you're single and everyone around you is in relationships and you don't have that other person, I don't think people do the work on themselves until that very moment.
Yep.
Because that was me.
That's why divorces and shit happen.
Yeah.
Yep. Because, or I'll just stay with him until the kids are old enough.
Yeah.
Like I witnessed quite a few things like that when I was in Gold Coast at this business event, and some of the relationship stories that I was hearing, I was like, why are you still there?
Yeah.
Because people are too afraid to be alone.
But also too, I mean, I get like you have kids and that could affect them, but I'm like, they're young, like, but also are you going to be a better parent? Are you going to show up better for that kid? Are you going to be a better person in general? Yeah, great, cool, leave.
I feel like people in this day and age though are more focused on self-development and healing, whereas like my parents' generation and or our parents' generations, that wasn't really a big thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even now, like me and my sister have multiple conversations about this, about just for my parents, for an example, like there's things that they do or the way they communicate to us where you can see that their trauma is coming up and they haven't healed themselves, and it's like they're pushing that onto us and pushing it onto the way they parented us.
Have you heard of generational trauma?
I have, yes.
So that could totally be what's happening. But in that moment when parents or someone comes to you with a problem, you need to try and think too, most of the time people are trying to communicate us like with love. They don't usually have malicious intent. I think sometimes it just gets miscommunicated and it gets a little bit lost in translation. But when you understand that parents are literally just people, and they're just trying to figure their shit out too, I think the way you view them is like quite changed. But also too, even if you ask them how their relationship was with their parents or whoever growing up, and they'll it's probably shit. They'll probably tell you it's shit. And then you can kind of put two and two together and be like, oh, well, that's why you're acting that way. It's not because like you are angry at me or you don't like me or whatever. It's just because you don't actually know or have the tools right now to communicate with me in a proper way.
Yeah. They're coming from, 100%.
Yeah.
This, again, me and my sister talk about this all the time, but they're coming from a place of hurt and just what they're used to as well. Yeah. It's so interesting. I love anything to do with this.
It's just the evolution of like the society of like us becoming more in tune with our thoughts and our mind and doing the work on ourselves, right? Which is,
and how important that is for even just relationships, friendships even, or just anyone around you, how important it is to do that work so you can be like show up better for them, show up better for yourself, for your kids, everything.
I feel like it's very common, especially like if we talk about our parents or even before that, to when you talk about therapy, like some people that I know, like in their 20s and their 30s, are so against therapy purely because their parents are.
And I wanted to talk about this too and discuss with you, you know, how do we change this stigma around that negative connotation attached to therapy in the sense of, oh, you should only be going and seeing a therapist when you're sad or when you feel like you are depressed. And I think you'll answer this and say that anyone can benefit from seeing a therapist and everybody should go and see a therapist regardless of whether you're happy, sad, depressed or, you know.
Everyone's fighting demons too.
Yeah.
Everyone's fighting demons.
I think that in this day and age, like people wait for themselves to get hit by a truck. You wait until you're like deep in it and then you feel like there's no ending. You're like, fuck, now I need help. And it's like, I feel like for a lot of people, they just suppress their emotions and stuff. I'm not saying you need to go to therapy or therapy is for you, but you can even get things like a mentor or you can even do like stuff like NLP because that pretty much changes. You don't dive a whole like lot into your trauma. I would say it's not like psychology. It's kind of like psychology mixed with like hypnosis. It's almost like, it's like this made up thing that's like new. It's a bit in like the last like 50 or I think, no, maybe it's more than 50. But it's like still new.
Yeah.
So that's more like mentoring and coaching, I would say, versus like an actual like therapist.
I was going to say, even though we've touched on NLP quite a number of times, but I don't think we've actually mentioned what it is.
I was about to say that.
So let's unpack to the listeners. What does NLP stand for and what exactly is it? Because you're studying this.
Yes. So NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro meaning your brain, linguistic is language, and then the programming is like how you integrate it, but it's also like your beliefs, like your limiting beliefs, your values, your core needs. So as humans, we have like 6 core needs. And basically it will teach you like where you are with your mindset right now and like where you want to go. So for example, we create a lot of rules for ourselves. Like I can't, like I said before, I can't be successful until I have this thing. Why the fuck not? Or like something along those lines, but basically it changes your whole outlook on life. And like I got coached through this earlier this year. And like I was doing outside stuff as well. So I was still doing like hypnosis and therapy and all of that sort of stuff. But that intertwined with this completely changed me. Like I've had a lot of growth in like the last 12 months, but I would say the last like 6 months have been drastic. Like I'm moving at a very fucking rapid rate.
Yeah.
Like I'm moving very quick. Like I'm going.
Because you've worked on your mindset.
And this is the thing, but also too, things that are taking me 3 months are taking people 3 years.
Yeah.
Until you learn how to change your mindset around it, until you like stop being so scared. It's because it's unknown and people get so uncomfortable with that. Like everyone wants certainty and that's a core human need. So I feel like in this day and age, a lot of people want certainty.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly what I'm doing. And that used to be me.
The fear of the unknown is
that used to be me. And
holding
that was
back.
very much in my eating disorder. I was like, well, I need to know, like I'll get married by this age and I'll have a hair salon by this age. And like, fuck mate, I'm not even in that industry anymore.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
People struggle just to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sit in that feeling and just like
I know for a fact at my workshop, like some people would have got so uncomfortable already with the eye gaze. And I knew it was going to make some people uncomfortable. Babe, you've seen nothing left. You've seen nothing yet. If you think that is uncomfortable, just wait.
Do you know what the thing is? Like I find when I usually talk with people, I always make eye contact. But when we were doing that eye gaze, like the first couple of like seconds, it was a bit of, I was giggling a bit. I was like, oh.
Have you done feel good dips before?
No, but I want to.
Because that's where I have done it before. So it wasn't new for me when we did it, but you could definitely see there were a lot of people that felt uncomfortable.
Once you sit there though and you get past that uncomfortable feeling, it becomes so easy.
Yeah.
You just get so comfortable and you're like, oh.
Even now, do you feel like since doing this kind of stuff, even just being able to talk to someone and look them in the eye is totally fine? Like,
it's supposed to make you feel more comfortable doing it in day to day, but also too, we're taught as a society when people don't look in our eyes, it's actually rude.
Yeah.
But something that we're learning in NLP is called eye patterns. So when I talk to you, I look up a lot, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you. Sorry. Let me tell you why I do it. So what I'm doing it right now. When I look up, I'm trying to reach for information. So it means different things if people look to the left, to the right, down, whatever. Like usually if it's like a touchy subject, I'm pretty sure, I don't know these off by heart yet, but I'm pretty sure when you look down, it's like more emotional or like sadness. But when I look up all the time because I'm fucking reaching, I'm trying to grab the information, or if I shut my eyes, I'm trying to visualize what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so there's some people can be that's what I'm saying. Some people can be dodgy as fuck and like not want to look in your eyes, but most of the time it's just because people are like reaching for something or whatever.
Yeah, or thinking. Like I find that I look away because I'm thinking like
because you're probably trying to think about what you're going to say.
Yeah,
but when it comes to eye gazing, when people look away, that's just because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. So fascinating.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So NLP, it's essentially how you rewire your whole mindset and how you integrate that in your life. So not only do I like with PT right now, I see a lot of people want to lose weight, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but people don't understand why they want to. And it's usually like, I just want to feel better in my clothes. And I'm like, Sally, there's a deeper reason. Like it's not just I want to feel better. Like, has someone in the past told you that they're not attracted to you? If you were a bigger child when you were growing up, did someone pick on you? Because that shit can stick. Like that can really stick with you until your adulthood, and you need to really understand why you want to do it, because otherwise if you don't, you're going to be really great for a month, 2 months, however long, and then you're going to get demotivated because your why's not strong enough.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand. You're just going to, it's too hard.
A lot of the time though, like society's made you only worthy if you have a great physique. And I think that's what a lot of people get caught up on.
But why do you feel that way?
Because I feel like that's everyone's, I don't know, like that's what he said. I'm tripping over my words. God damn. No, like when you see you see in like magazines and you see on Instagram, everyone has this amazing physique and everyone's beautiful because they're skinny. And I think everyone tries to strive for that. And I think people just get caught up on trying to look like that.
I think that like
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think us as a society though, we put that rule on ourselves. Because what's to say that you can't be beautiful right now? I think it's getting better as time goes on. I think back then a lot of celebrities weren't, upwards of like a size 10.
Yeah.
Back then. But now like times are changing. Like if you look at like Lizzo and stuff, like fucking they're thriving and they're, whatever. But
I have a different opinion about that. But
I don't know Lizzo that well. But I'm just getting at what I mean is like, you don't need to look a certain way to make it in this world or be like beautiful or like whatever. Like Lizzie is just an example, but like literally anyone. Like, and I think too, we place rules on ourselves, especially coming into the gym. Like people place this rule on themselves, and I've heard about it in consults, but they place this rule that I can't come into the gym because I don't look like I should be in there.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to look like?
That
I think
gym
it's just
anxiety.
been like that for so long though, because so it's like how do you start helping people change their way of thinking and like getting past you have to look a certain way to be at the gym?
I would say first thing, questioning them.
Yeah.
It's a lot. NLP is like a lot of questioning them because
getting deeper.
We don't actually tell you what to do. We like plant seeds, but we get you guys to have the realizations. Like it's not like my mentor said, oh, you have this because of this, or you should do this and that. Like they plant seeds and then you think about it and then you make that decision.
It's like therapy. That's what therapy is.
Yeah, it's kind of like therapy. But yeah, so NLP is great in terms of like literally changing your whole outlook. So I actually go up to Gold Coast in 2 weeks and then I'll come back and I'll be qualified.
I want to ask you what has changed for you in the way that you think?
Right. Okay. A lot. I was very much like black and white, very much like, oh, why is this happening to me? I just felt like very victim and like, why was I blessed with this eating disorder? And like, why was I having these suicidal thoughts that I, had like a few years ago when I was deep in that eating disorder? Why me? And I felt like, why has the universe, God, whoever you believe in, why is it me? Why does it have to be me? So I very much just felt like victim. Even when I kind of got out of that victim mindset, when I first started working with my mentor, I just felt fucking lost. And that was my whole, like, I need to be certain. I need to have control of my life. Like, I don't know where I'm going. Is coaching for me? Am I in the right industry? Do I want to work for myself? And I was very much like, it's easier if I just go work for someone else. Like, it was a lot around business and then relationships too. Like, I was doing a lot for my ex-partner and we both had a role to play in that. But I was just like doing so much. And it's not that he wasn't doing anything for me, but I was just putting all my time into that. And I realized like I was not doing anything for myself. Like even my business was on the back burner. And like I just didn't really care.
How long ago was that for you with the partner?
That was early. So the business stuff, that was like earlier this year. The partner stuff again was earlier this year, but we're no longer together. He is a great person. He's just not my person. So I feel like a lot of people when they go through personal development, not saying all the time because people can grow with you, but it's in this instant, I just very much wanted to be alone and I felt like we were growing apart. So it was really hard at the time because like I said earlier, I thought that my issues were with men and being abandoned by men. And if that was my trigger, breaking up with someone was going to trigger the fuck out of me. And it was actually, I found it so fascinating because once I'd made the decision, I actioned it pretty much straight away. And I had one thought of like, you know, wanting to self-soothe, like fall back into that old pattern with the food. And I just didn't. And then only one thought, that was it. And then I didn't feel the need at all. Like my taste buds have changed, which is also interesting.
It's
so that breakup you felt like didn't impact.
No.
Okay.
So
it didn't trigger you.
No.
It didn't trigger your eating disorder.
That I think after that happened, then it was really reassured to me that like, okay, well, it's definitely me then.
Yeah.
It's something that's going on inside. And I think that I was very much just like, again, I didn't even know who I was when I got in that relationship. And again, that's nothing wrong with like either of us. I think that I was just starting on this personal development. People come into your like life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. He was definitely a reason. And I think he was definitely to show me that there are great men out there. Not all men are shit, despite what some of you listeners might be thinking. Not all, George, I promise. I promise you. Not all of them are shit. But once you start working on yourself, then you'll start to, like, I haven't met anyone yet, but I know that I will. Like, but truly, I think you need to work on yourself before you can be with anyone. Yeah. Because like I said, otherwise, like I feel like the divorce rates are super fucking high.
Yeah.
People are like constantly breaking up or they're unhappy.
You get lost in the relationship too.
Yeah, for sure.
You forget who you are.
For sure. So I don't think I even had any certainty around who I was. And then I think I just morphed into what I thought he would want. Again, this is nothing to do with him. This is all me. And then I just became, I guess, like, I'll do what you want to do and like, oh, we'll watch this because this suits you. And like he did do things for me, but I realized that I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
And
you're watering him and he wasn't watering you.
The bloody plant.
Matt said it and it stuck with me.
I haven't heard that
Explain
one.
Because it's like, what did he say? It's like he felt every relationship he felt that he was getting
he
into.
He was always watering can. So like think
Ah.
of a relationship as a plant and being watered. He was the one watering the plant and then he wasn't being watered. It's like, I want to be the fucking plant.
I feel like every relationship I've been into, I've been like that too. And I'm like, this time I'm watering myself. I'm the plant and I'm watering myself and that's it. Yeah.
So yeah, I just very much felt like that relationship was definitely like to teach me a lesson.
Yeah.
But I also knew that that was a big block in my personal development because I needed to come home to myself. Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't do this in a relationship, but I just was like, I just need to be by myself.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess, that was the biggest thing that changed for me. And then I went back, I was doing online coaching. I was taking a break. My mental health was shit. And that's when I first started working with my mentor. Then from there, I made the call to come back to face-to-face. I actually miss human interaction.
Yeah.
And also too financially, unless you have a lot of clients, online coaching ain't it. Unless you're charging a lot. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do.
You get it. Okay. So yeah, I also didn't believe that I was worth a lot of money. So like my prices were reflecting how I was like feeling about myself. And then I made the call to come back to face-to-face. I pretty much got fully booked. I reckon within like 2 or 3 weeks.
I think that's also a reflection on you because you are such a people person that face-to-face, you thrive in that face-to-face environment. So of course, like if you are being your authentic self, which is face-to-face coaching, then you are going to be fully booked because you're in the environment that you need to be in.
So prior to that, I was not fully booked. I was nowhere near it. I was like maybe half. And then I got fully booked. Like I'm well and truly, I keep saying yes to people. I need to say no, but I keep taking on new clients. But yeah, basically I got fully booked really fast. And then I made the call. I was like, oh, like this, NLP stuff really interests me. So then I started to look into that. I ran my first like group coaching container, which was cool. These are all fucking 2024 goals, may I just say.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make like 2K a week. And I was like, oh, but in 2024, not this year. Babes, I've almost doubled that. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
no need to,
that's amazing.
no need to like stress. But it was just interesting because I set these, what I thought were large goals. My God, they're small. And even, running my first in-person event, that was a big thing for me. Now I'm going to run my second. And like, to me, these are big milestones, but I also know in the long run, these are going to be the smallest things I'm ever going to do.
Yeah.
So what was it that you have been doing that's allowed you to manifest all of these goals and all of these things, all of these successes? How has that come to you so much sooner than 2024?
So definitely like getting a mentor, someone who's done things that you want to do, or maybe you just even feel drawn to them and they can help you with whether that's fitness, health, lifestyle, getting a new job, getting more money, whatever it is. Basically, I would say doing that first, then fully like immersing yourself into it. So like whether it's weekly coaching calls, like I went to a lot of personal development events, like a lot. Yeah, I don't even know how many I've been to, but I at one point I was going like almost every weekend or every second weekend.
All based in Melbourne?
A lot of them were down Mornington way.
Yep.
Yeah, most of them were in Mornington. One was in the city. So the first one that I went to, have you guys heard of Call to Be Conscious?
No.
Yeah, you should definitely go to one.
Is that an event or?
Yeah. So they do a half day experience in Melbourne. Like they're all around Australia. I'm actually going in October when I'm in Gold Coast. I'm doing their full day event.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be doing my breathwork practitioner training through them.
Yeah.
And that was the first ever event where I was immersed and it's called like half day immersion. And what I mean by immersion is like getting right in it. Like you're not on your phone, you don't know people around you. Like get the fuck in it.
This is what the fuck I need.
You literally need to get in it. Like, and just get all the distractions away, and it's all about you and like what you want to work on. And also like they did breath work and all of that. So obviously that can help relieve stored emotions and all of that. So I would say going to events like that firstly. Secondly was getting my mentor. And like immersing myself into it, and then getting very, very clear and very, very certain on what you want to do. And now what I wanted to do has changed over time, and I think it will probably always change. But when it comes down to it, my goal is to help as many people as I can. So for me, like in the long run, what I want to do when I have all this wealth is I want to develop like a house or like, I don't know, like a house or a big building where people with eating disorders like can go and like recover and have people teaching them NLP and like taking them through those steps.
Like a wellness center.
Yeah, rather than going to, because this is what happens when you go get fucking diagnosed. So this is what happened to me. I got diagnosed by a psychiatrist and I got prescribed pills to suppress my appetite. Yeah.
Wow.
I can't remember if I touched on this.
How old were you at this point?
I reckon I was 18 or 19.
Yep. So your first initial, I guess, call out for help was to go see a psychologist.
So I went to a GP because I knew I had to get a referral to see a psych. I'd seen a psych when I was younger, but I knew I needed a referral. So I went to get a referral and I was explaining to her, and then she's like, yep, I think you should go talk to a psychiatrist. Went to talk to the psychiatrist. She was an older lady. And I remember reading this pamphlet and it was about binge eating disorder, and it was asking me questions, and it was like, do you do this sometimes, often, or always? And I fucking ticked the box for always. And I was like, well, fuck. Cool. She's like, yep, you've got binge eating disorder. And I was like, lit. Okay, cool. Now what?
Yeah.
So she referred me to a psych, like a psychologist to talk to. And she also gave me this prescription for these pills that were supposed to suppress my appetite and help me not eat. Now,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That is baffling.
Yep. So at the time, I was like, oh, cool. It's, it's going to help me feel more comfortable in my body. I felt so fucking nauseous all the time. I felt like dizzy. And then now looking back, like I actually forgotten about this. So I think I just suppressed this fucking memory.
Because it's so fucked.
Yeah. And then when I was talking to one of my clients about this, maybe like a month prior to Embody Your Shine, she was talking about the medical system and how it's fucked. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I actually got these pills prescribed to me to suppress my appetite. So what I don't want for people to happen, especially young girls, I see it all the time, is that I don't want them to go to a fucking doctor and get prescribed and be like, don't eat, or like, you need to eat. And it's like, yeah, they fucking know that, but they've placed a rule on themselves. They can't eat, or they can't not eat until they've done certain things. So actually getting to the core of why have you created that rule and how can we get rid of that rule to move on? Because it's not as simple as eat.
It's psychology.
Yeah.
Like food is psychology, and how you eat, what you eat, it's all triggered down to your fucking
reflects who you are.
mindset.
Yep.
It all comes back to that. And I think as well, like both of you and I are coaches, but it always comes down to this emotional eating or this yo-yo dieting or I'm restricting and now I'm binging. But why? Why is this happening? What is triggering this to happen?
So some people I feel like aren't super like self-aware, and that's where I feel like, wait, have you guys ever heard the label of when you're in the glass jar, you can't see the label?
I have heard that.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
So like, or even if it's a cup, if you're on the cup right now, you can't see what's going on outside of it because you're right in it. It's like in a toxic relationship. You can't see what's happening, but everyone else on the outside can.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is like when you're in it, you don't understand why you're getting triggered. You don't understand why you're doing it. All you know is that you want to do it because it makes you feel better for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Whether that's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever. But then what happens is this fucking cycle, and you get the guilt. You get all the guilt and shame around doing it, and then you do it again to not feel that emotion anymore. And then you're stuck in this fucking cycle.
Dopamine.
Yeah, you're literally just like stuck in this cycle of eating to feel good and then not eating and then feeling guilty and then eating and then or whatever. Whether you're eating or you're not eating, it's the same shit. So I think that like you probably should get a mentor or someone to help you with that, or even start writing out, like even trying to address it yourself. Like a journal prompt could be, what am I feeling after I've eaten? Or what am I feeling before it? Or what before that thing in that exact moment happened to make me do that?
Yeah.
Something that you couldn't even do, like psychs do it, and my therapist gave me the tool, like a band. That's not why I'm wearing it. It's for suicide prevention. But basically what you can do is, because you almost go into this like subconscious state, and before you know it, you're there. You've got the spoon in your mouth, or it's like getting into your mouth. And what you need to do with the like a band is you can flick yourself. Because remember what I was talking about, the whole pleasure and pain thing, that can actually bring you back into being conscious and be like, oh, firstly, is this, going to help me towards whatever I want to do? But also, why am I searching for this thing?
It snaps you out of that little episode that you're having.
You're there.
Yeah.
Or before you know it. You're probably eating before you fucking know it. Like you go into this state.
Yeah.
Like you're so
numb.
Yeah.
Like Georgia going to the scoop and weigh.
Yeah. So when I
heard about this.
So when I was like coming out of my prep, like I'm kind of on the other end of it now, but like I just would go into Coles, and
before she knew it, she was at the scoop and weigh.
And I got so sucked into it, and like I couldn't help myself. And like there would be times where I'd go to Coles and be like, all right, you're not fucking going to scoop and weigh. You're not going to scoop. You don't need it. Go in and get what you need and get out.
But she'd still be at the scoop and weigh.
I'd look at it, and then it honestly, it's like it took over my body, and I couldn't have that conversation with myself saying, no, don't do it, until I'd eaten the bag and I was done.
Yeah.
And then it was an episode of like, why the fuck did you do that? Now you're going to put on weight, then this and that and this. And it's just like, I got sucked in by the scoop and weigh way too many times.
It's wild how your brain does take over that, and your mindset is just so powerful. So you're saying that before they perhaps go to the fridge or the pantry, they've got that Lucker band there
That's
to
like,
pinch themselves.
It's a good way to like, I guess, get you in your body, because you go, I'm sure you can, like George, you just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You don't even know where the fuck you are, but you're there. You're already like eating the shit or whatever. That would be my first thing. Secondly, if you know that, I'm not saying go cold turkey from whatever you're, using to soothe yourself, but I would suggest either getting someone in the household to hide it, or like have it in small portions. So even if, I'm not saying you're going to go from binging on blocks of chocolate and tubs of ice cream to nothing, because that is not how it works. Yeah. And people who go cold turkey, I don't know how you do it. And I don't think that it really works, because I think that if they have a bit of chocolate, and it reminds them of that time where I binged on that whole thing. So like, firstly, I reckon the Lacker band's a great one. The journal prompts to try and get you thinking about it.
Like why, or what's triggered you?
Yeah, so like why am I doing this right now? What happened? Like, did you have a conversation? Did someone like upset you? Did someone say something to you? Or what used to happen to me is that someone would make I was like not resilient at all. Someone would make like a little comment about my weight, or like a joke about literally anything about what I'm eating or whatever. And that fucking thought would stay with me until I got home. And so I was in private, and then I would want to binge. And I could have just addressed that. Like back then, obviously I didn't understand how to, but I could have just addressed it and been like, okay, why are you upset? And there's actually a thing called the 90-second rule. It actually takes 90 seconds for you to feel emotion. So
yes, I heard this.
Yep, rather than turning to something or turning to someone, whatever, or even rather than calling someone and becoming codependent, sit in it, cry, scream, laugh, whatever you need to do for literally 90 seconds. And I promise you won't feel as heavy after it.
I found as well, like when you are like having these emotions, like a little bit of breath work as well, because it stops you, like it calms you down, it calms your anxiety down, it makes your brain stop and think, and then you can actually make some sort of a rational decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't send that text message. Just wait 90 seconds.
Literally just wait. Literally just wait 90 seconds, I promise.
Or even just 24 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours. just have a breather and you'll be fine.
Because it's very easy to get sucked in and just like want to, I want help, and like become like codependent in a friendship or a relationship, and it's not gonna work.
No.
You're gonna drive a wedge between you and that. And then what happens one day if they leave?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck now, aren't you?
Yep.
Even I think another interesting thing like that prompts emotional eating and people to binge eat, stress as well could be something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really any like negative emotion, like quote unquote negative, like whether that's stress, that's anxiety, depression, honestly, whatever it is. I have noticed that I do this thing. I only noticed this the other day, where I create this list in my head, and I have literally a to-do list. Like I'm very productive, but sometimes when I feel like there's more on it than what there actually is, or I've forgotten something, I get really stressed, and then there might be 2 things, but then I think that there's 20, and then I procrastinate.
That's me.
Yeah, and then I sit there, and it only lasted, I reckon, like 10 minutes, and I sat there and I was like, huh. And because when you do all this work, you start to view yourself differently, and I was like, well, is this going to make you more or less stressed through the rest of the week? I'm like, well, it's going to make you more stressed, isn't it? Because you have more work to do. So I was like, okay, cool. Get into it. Like, but like, you know, for me, that maybe took, 10, 15 minutes, but for the average person that could take an hour, could take 10 hours, could take days.
Weeks.
Yeah, like however long it takes you. So it's really interesting that you say stress, because definitely we just try and soothe ourselves in any way possible.
Do you think most of this stuff comes from your childhood?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say a lot of it.
Yeah.
But also too, like that's not to say that you can't change. Like I think, yes, how you grow up and all that sort of stuff, but I also think you can develop things as you get older. They can, become worse, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would not say that like everything is fucked up because your parents. I think that stuff that happens, again, it's happened for you. So like the way I used to view my childhood was a little bit different to how I view it now. And I'm like, well, I'm actually really lucky to have supportive parents, and like, lucky to have parents that actually support all the shit that I'm doing. Like some people don't. And like I have friends that, the parents aren't supportive of what they're doing because it's not the norm. Yeah.
And parents that are together in a loving environment, loving home. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the fact that I'm lucky enough to have a mum who's like super spiritual, and like she will be in my business. Like mark my words. She'll be in my business in the next few years.
I love that.
Yeah. Mum was actually at the event. You would have seen her.
Yeah.
The purple hair.
Yeah.
Love mum.
Yeah.
So she's actually a masseuse. So I feel like I'm really great with my words and like what I want to get across. But mum was like super good with like her hands, and so every time she massages someone, they're always like, oh, like I feel just like so light. So I feel like she's some sort of like energy healer with her hands or something. So
does she do any of that?
Yeah, so she runs her own like massage business.
Is it just massage or is like
no, so just massage.
Okay.
But she will be coming into my business in the next few years. So when we travel around and do retreats and stuff, mum will be a part of it.
Yeah.
When I told her this, she's like, oh, I'll just be a manager. And I was like, what for? She's like, well, you need like a time manager. She's like, you'll be so busy. I said, mum, you're a part of this, so I don't care.
You're coming on the journey.
You're literally coming on the journey. So like I think too, sometimes it's very easy to take things like that for granted, when other people don't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How can people actually tap into this childhood trauma besides, say, going and seeing, going and seeing somebody about it, like the other methods that you just spoke about before? Is there anything that people can do themselves to tap into that?
You could do like
trauma.
You could do like some guided meditations or like guided breath work. If it's real like suppressed stuff, it's going to be really hard for you to remember. That's why hypnosis is great, because it actually taps into your unconscious mind. We're actually talking, right now I'm talking to your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Like they're both present right now. But what happens with people like with hypnosis and stuff, they're able to talk to that more. And if you suppress stuff, that's your unconscious mind. That's not your conscious mind. So, like how I said I'd actually forgotten that I'd been prescribed tablets. That's because my unconscious mind obviously suppressed it because it wasn't a fun time for me. Does that make sense? So I would say like a guided meditation, or you could even do like breath work where you just like literally, in terms of guided meditation, literally sit there and literally just sit in silence. And do you know how much people will struggle with that.
Watch what comes up for you too.
Yeah. So little thoughts will start to come up, or little mind chatter, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Just sit, wait for it to go away. That would be my first thing. Secondly is like probably even you can buy books with like journal prompts. Like 3 things that you're grateful for, like they're all like surface level stuff. But I would highly suggest going to personal development events, like anything to do with breath work, all that sort of stuff, because that's kind of where I understood my trauma, but I didn't understand, I think, how to properly release it. And the breath work really showed me how to actually let it out. Because I was scared to cry.
Yeah.
Like before.
Yeah.
Just tears.
Do you have any recommendations on some that you have gone to that you've loved?
Yes. So I would definitely recommend Cool to Be Conscious. So I'm pretty sure it's every Sunday in summer, they run a stillness session, so breath work, and they go like do a cold plunge in the ocean. That's in Mordialloc, PR. So I know that's like on the other side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Feel Good Dips is all right. It's definitely not as deep, I would say. So if you're just looking for like some community, I would say Feel Good Dips is all right. Otherwise, I haven't been, but I've heard really good things about the Breath House. That's in Windsor.
Oh yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah, it's on I think it's on Chapel Street.
Yeah.
Apparently parking's a nightmare, but apparently it's really good. Like they run breathwork classes and that sort of stuff. So different things can come up. Or I was just doing one-on-ones with people. Like my friend's done one with Ella, who owns the Breath House, and she said it was incredible. So yeah, I would, if you're looking for more like just general, I would do a class or a like Sunday session or whatever. But if you're looking for deeper, I would say one-on-ones.
Yep. And the mindset coach that you...
For sure.
You recommended a mindset coach, actually.
Yes, I did. So her name is Elise Riley. So she is originally from Melbourne. She moved to Gold Coast. She's in London now, living her fucking best life. So yeah, I met Elise it's all about the people you meet. Like I met her at a time where I just started my business. I was feeling very lost. And I remember walking into this conference, and I didn't know anyone. And everyone just looked so like just on their phones, and I was like, fuck me. Like I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to.
Was this like a work conference or a self-development?
JPS.
Oh, okay.
It was JPS last year, and she was on the phone, and I was like, I don't know what it is with this blonde and tan girl, but I was like, I just feel like super drawn to her. So I went up to her, she got off the phone, we started chatting, and she's like, yeah, like I'm originally from Melbourne. I was like, oh, cool, where do you live? She's like, Gold Coast. And I was like, no way, I've wanted to move for ages. She's like, just do it. And I was like, what do you mean?
Excuse me?
It's like, sorry, like my partner's here, my job's here, my life is here. Yeah. At least I could not move to Gold Coast. Like, what do you mean? I am moving to Gold Coast. I am in the process of moving. I am moving in a few months. But so that was like the first thing. And then she was saying like, she's like, yeah, I do mindset coaching. And I was like, oh yeah, like hadn't really heard much about it. Then I followed her for fucking 6 months, didn't action anything. And then she ran an event in Melbourne, so similar to what I ran. And I went, and basically if you shared things on your story, you went into this giveaway to win a free coaching call with her. I've gone to the giveaway. I knew I was going to fucking win. I won. Yeah. I won the free coaching call. So again, obviously I was supposed to meet her. So I won the free coaching call, started talking about everything, and I was like, yep, fuck, sign me in. Yeah. So I would say like, yeah, the stillness stuff, and then definitely getting a mentor, whatever that looks like for you. Also, I wouldn't suggest signing up to the first one that you see unless it's like you're certain. Because there's a lot of different people out there, and I think some people on social media too can really come across a different way than what they actually are. I think that I found that out, not the hard way, but like when I actually meet people at conferences or events, I'm like a bit surprised as to what I see on social media versus who you are.
Yeah. There's so many of them out there too. So many of them out there. Oh.
Yeah.
I know we kind of went into this before, but why is this work so important to you?
To me, I would say that I want people to understand who are in a really low point in their life that there actually is a way out. Because when I was at that point, like having like real dark thoughts, like suicidal thoughts, I did not care if I lived or died. Like I did not care. And like literally let that sink in. Like even when I talk about it, sometimes it feels surreal because I'm like, holy fuck, I can't believe
it's
that
scary.
I was there. Yeah. So to me, I feel like doing that work has completely changed. Like like I said, I didn't care. I didn't even know if I'd make it to fucking 50. I didn't know if I'd have a relationship or kids. Like I didn't care. And then through changing that, already studying personal development, I guess, and therapy and all of that already changed my outlook. But where I am now, like I'm basically creating the life that I've wanted. Like already running that, going back to face-to-face, that was the first step. Then running that workshop, that was the second step. Then going to the Tony Robbins thing, that was like another new level. And like when I moved to Gold Coast, that's like a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
But like I think to people to understand, you can actually have what you want. Like I don't think people need to be miserable their whole entire life. Like you can actually create what you want now if you start to look at your behavior patterns and why I'm doing that. Are the people around you like your tribe, and do they actually support you to get to where you want to be, or are they encouraging that negative shit, whether that's drugs, alcohol, whatever the fuck it is?
Because it has a massive impact on the type of person you are.
There's a study or a saying, it's like the 5 people you spend the most time around is a reflection of you as a person. So my circle's fucking small. I wouldn't even say I have 5 people.
Yeah.
I'd say I have like 3.
It's funny that the more work that you do in yourself, the smaller your circle gets.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you just need to remember too that like sometimes it's nothing, and even a reminder to myself, it's not like they don't like you.
Yeah.
But you're just growing at a rapid rate and they can't keep up. And so I saw something about that podcast that I mentioned earlier, and they were talking about mountains and peaks and stuff. So for example, right now, you know, me running my first event, that was a peak, and me running my second event, that's going to be a whole new peak. But people look at you, they encourage you along the way, but then once you get to that peak, they don't try and tear you down. They might at some point, but they don't congratulate you or acknowledge you anymore because that's reminded them of the fact that they have not moved.
Yeah.
And you've moved very fucking quick.
Preach.
Yeah. And I needed to hear that. Like I was feeling a bit like, about some people like that I see a lot. And I was like, oh, you know, like I find it a bit weird that like people aren't celebrating me. And I'm not saying you have to, but I think if I was in their shoes, I would be celebrating this person.
Yeah.
And I've realized that it's not that they don't like me. It's just because obviously I'm reminding them of what they haven't done.
And have you found that like with some close friends that you've lost along the way?
Yeah. So I culled a lot of people out of my life.
Yeah.
I feel like this year it's very, very, like I have 2 close friends.
Yeah.
Plus my mum.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, like I have people like you guys that I see a lot. But like your circle's very, very important. Oh, and then my mentors, like 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. Sorry.
Very important.
It's quickly growing, isn't it?
Yeah, but like it's just interesting. And I think too, when you start to grow more, there's going to be more people that try and come in your life. And I'm not saying that they're coming in for bad reasons. Like they might come in for, you know, there's some people that have reached out to me because they're interested in me mentoring them, and that's great. But also you need to look at the people in your life who are trying to weasel their way. Again.
Trying to eat the microphone here.
Trying to weasel their way into your life, and are they going to like uplift you and help you to your goals, or are they going to try and bring you back down to those old negative ways?
You can genuinely feel sometimes though, not sometimes, you can genuinely feel the energy with people. Like if people have good intentions or like good energy.
It feels fucking heavy when they don't.
Yeah. You feel that like, I feel like when I meet people like that, there's a guard on my chest. And I'm like, you can just quickly, you know how much to let them in and how much,
We have literally spoken about this.
Yeah.
And how we were kind of even drawn together for doing the podcast.
Yeah.
It just felt right. It's crazy how things like that
I think
turn
that
out.
it doesn't matter how long you've known someone.
Yeah.
I think if you click, you click.
Yeah.
Like when I'm moving up to Gold Coast, I literally met this girl. Literally, she, you know, at the gym. She was at my event.
Which gym? Oh, at Crew?
No, sorry, at Airport West. So we met maybe like 2 or 3 weeks prior to me running my event. And I just approached her in the gym because she was like posing. And I was like, oh, you like bodybuilding? And like we just started chatting. And we're talking about Gold Coast. And I was like, no fucking way. Like I'm going to move next year. And my goal was I'll move in June, July next year. I'll give myself enough time in case like I get scared and want to back out.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Gold Coast, everyone questioned me like, why are you waiting so long? And I was like, yeah, fuck. Why am I waiting for like a whole year? Right. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do some reflection. And then I changed it, and I want to be in Gold Coast before my birthday. So my birthday is the 17th of Jan. Best believe I'll fucking be there. But it was
I
funny.
already feel it for you.
Yeah, it was funny that I met her though, and we literally just got talking, and her partner lives in Gold Coast. And I was like, oh, I'm actually going to move earlier now. She's like, oh, like when? And I was like, oh, you know, probably like early Jan. She's like, oh, that's when I want to move. And so like now we're going to live together.
I love that.
Things just work.
Yeah, this is what I mean. I think people get like weird when you're like, oh, but you just met them like 2 weeks ago. And to me,
Doesn't
it's
fucking
like,
matter.
Yeah.
No. If you click, you click. And that's what's happened with you too, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Was she there this morning with you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, who was that? What time did I see you?
6:30. She had the dark hair. Anyway. But I love that.
It's been a long day. Sorry, guys.
It's really, I think it's really nice to hear and to be reassured that the friendships that you have don't need to have a date on them in terms of like, just because you've been friends with this person for 10 years doesn't mean you need to keep the friendship.
I think too, like when I moved to Melbourne, I really stepped away from that friendship group that I was back in at home. Like I feel like I was in a couple and I felt like very alone in Melbourne. And again, I felt like I didn't fit in. But you really do find your tribe. Like I just went through like, sorry guys, some of you probably aren't going to want to hear this, but I went through like a good lot of years, like still feeling like, even though I was surrounded by people, I felt alone. But again, that was because I didn't come back to myself. And then once you come into yourself, you meet the right people, because even friendships can take breaks. Like my best friend, we took like 2 friendship breaks because we like trauma bonded. Essentially, like we were both going through shit. And we basically just bonded together. And then when one of us was trying to heal, the other one was still stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
So we had like a break for like, we had like 2 or 3 breaks. And then now like we're really strong and we can communicate properly about like our boundaries and what, you know, what's okay and what's not okay. But until you like actually do the inner work, then it's really hard to surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah. I love what you said also about even though you were surrounded by people, you still felt alone.
Yeah.
Because I reckon in my previous relationships, that is exactly how I felt. I felt more alone in a relationship than what I do now.
Yeah.
Completely alone. Like I am the most alone I could potentially be, but I feel the least alone, if that makes sense.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
I think, like I was saying earlier, I just feel like people in this day and age really just think that they need to be in a relationship because that's what everyone does. And I need to get a house with my partner. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it's like, I actually was chatting to someone about this today because I was talking about the topic of maybe I should do a segment about like how to attract your dream partner. And no one's going to want to hear what I have to say because it's about working on yourself first.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah, but people need to hear that though.
I know. They
People
do need to hear
that.
They do need to hear it.
Do the segment on that.
Yeah, definitely do
I'll
the
have
segment.
to. But it was just really interesting because and I've said this to this person before. I'm like, well, what is the common denominator here? Because you're still attracting the shit men. And I was like, I'm saying to you this as a friend. I can understand because I used to attract shit men, used to have one night stands and stuff. And then I would always feel fulfilled and actually feel worse after sleeping with them than what I would before.
Yep.
Is it fucking worth it? It's actually not.
No.
It's actually not worth it feeling that way. And it was really interesting because I saw something else on Instagram today and I said to her, I was like, you know, maybe we should all like have a conversation at my next event and talk about like how to attract your dream partner, whether it's male, female, whatever. Because honestly, it's just about you.
Yeah.
It is not about searching. You got to come home to yourself first. Then your self-worth and all of that will, you know, unravel. Then you'll start to gain confidence and then let the universe do its fucking thing and you'll meet the right person when you're ready.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's so not like I'm ready now. Because if you're saying that now, you're probably not.
More than likely not.
Definitely not.
More than likely not.
You know?
Yeah.
Self-reflection on Georgia and I.
We're not.
I'm feeling super triggered right now.
I'm so sorry, George. I'm so sorry. That was not my intention.
No, I need it. I need it. Oh, that's so funny.
We've covered so much and I think there is absolutely so much value in this conversation, but we do want to finish up with some rapid fire questions.
I did not read these.
And
Kayla sent them to me and I was like, no, I'm not going to read
and
them.
then I had to unsend it.
I know. I even said to you, I'm like, we have rapid fire questions, but I'm not going to send them to you.
Yeah.
And then Kayla goes, I sent them to Rani. I'm like, why the fuck?
No, I just
And
read
then I
them.
said-
I just saw rapid fire at the top and I was like, I'm not going to read them.
Good girl.
So I'm not
Good
gonna read
girl.
them.
So basically, we're just going to quickly say these questions. Whatever comes to your mind first. Stop reading it right now. Whatever comes to you, whatever comes to your mind, you just go. All right, you ready? Kayla, do you want to kick it
Fear
off?
of the unknown, huh? The number one thing you do for you and your own self-love and self-care.
Yep. So I would say like just trying to sit with yourself for at least like a few minutes a day, like really try and schedule in some downtime, whether that's 10 minutes or not. Because running your own business, I don't know if you guys know too much about like masculine and feminine energy. So feminine is like where you're super creative, soft, you have like super deep relationships, you feel just like very relaxed. Masculine is like the doer. You got to go, bring in the money, like bring home the bread and all that shit. When you run your own business, you're in your masculine. So for me, tapping into my femininity is something that I'm still trying to figure out, but definitely having downtime to just relax and not feel like you're constantly fucking going because otherwise you're going to burn out. And secondly would be like reading a book, like whether that's personal development or that's like something that just switches your brain off. Like if it's like about sex or if it's about whatever, like that would be my thing.
Reading's great.
I like reading or podcasting even.
On to the next one then. A book or a podcast recommendation that's recently inspired you.
The one I said earlier, the wisdom one. I can't remember what it's called. That one's good.
Was that a book or a podcast?
Okay, sorry, hang on.
Was that a book or a podcast?
So that was a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Modern Wisdom. The episode is 670. It's called Alex.
Jesus.
That was a lot. Alex Hormozy, Controversial Truths About Life. So I'm only half an hour into that one, but that one's really good. Or a book. Ooh. Can we edit out the time that I'm like, wait, okay.
This is raw.
All right.
Raw footage.
Footage.
We're
Oh,
getting into the habit of not cutting anything.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
It's more effort.
You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, so I've only read a few pages. I stole
Is
it off
that
my
the book?
friend. Yeah, that's a book.
Yeah.
I only read a few pages because I stole it off my friend and then she stole it back. So, yeah. But the pages that I did read were good. So I recommend that.
The 4 pages that I read were great.
No, they're really easy to read because they have like big bold headings and like a paragraph about each topic.
Love
So
it.
that's
Easy
way easier
read.
for me than like paragraph. Like I'll get bored. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
It's so fun.
What is your go-to method for managing stress and maintaining like a good mental well-being?
I would definitely suggest to-do lists, and which is actually something I saw in your story, and I agree with everything that you said. To-do lists, and I like to chunk them. So in terms of coaching, I'll go like nutrition, like programming, check-ins, whatever, and I'll chunk them up.
Yep.
And then I'll usually know which one I need to do first. And then I can also have like little life lists, like washing, all the boring adult shit.
Like admin, life admin.
Washing, yeah, like planning out the week. That helps me de-stress a lot because I actually know it's not in my head anymore. It's out on paper and I can see what I need to do. Because otherwise we create mental lists and then you actually think about it more because you're scared that you're going to forget it.
Yeah.
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 And do you find, because I'm someone who has to physically write my list
It's
down.
not on my
Same.
phone, it's paper.
Yeah.
Pen and paper.
Yeah. Do you know how people do to-do lists on their phone?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I can't do a Google
You have to
Calendar
physically
thing.
see it.
But I also think too, when you're actually doing those things, you should be off your phone anyways. So I feel like you can be more present in it when it's pen and paper rather than being like, oh, what's this again? Oh, there's a text from Johnny. Let's reply to Johnny. Or
Yeah.
whoever the fuck's
Let me just
texting you.
quickly check Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So paper to-do list. That's
I would
your
say that. And then
recommendation.
mental well-being is like, I don't journal every day, and I'm not saying people need to. I journal when I feel like called to, or if I'm feeling stressed, or if something's triggering me. I'll, what am I feeling in this current moment? Why am I feeling that way? How can I like move through that? So just like really getting in touch with how you're actually feeling rather than just pushing it down. Would be my next thing.
self-awareness.
In what ways have you stepped out of your comfort zone recently for personal development?
Okay. I started dancing with Dom.
Yeah.
love Dom.
She is amazing.
Dom is a major hype queen. So
yeah. This
What
is the dance
I
class
was
I was
gonna
telling you
say,
about.
what is
yeah.
the name of her business?
Pulse After Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah. So basically, I have never danced in my life.
Yeah.
Never ever.
You're actually doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
You look very like natural.
really because
Yeah.
when I'm doing it, it feels
It feels
at the
uncomfortable.
start, I feel like because I get very tight and rigid. I've realized in my upper body, and obviously dance is fucking flowy, also feminine, feminine, which I'm trying to be. But with the dance, like Dom, even like we both know that like it takes me a good fucking like 40 minutes of our hour one-on-one for me to like actually just like
Loosen up.
yeah. So dancing was probably that was the biggest thing. I still have one lesson left that I need to use. Going to a dance class would be the next thing. It is kind of hard with my schedule though, because I do coach at night time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to try and go. And then
Yeah.
like, I know the classes are late and then I have to get up early. If I really wanted to make it work, I could. I just wish there was some on the weekends because that would have been a bit easier for me. But
Yeah.
I would say that was the biggest thing. Otherwise, it's usually just meeting people and literally just being really open and honest, like telling them your whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably my biggest two things.
Love
Dancing's
that.
probably the biggest, to be honest.
Can we all go to a dance class together?
Yeah,
let's do it. I need to
Can we
do
go,
this
can we go to the
before.
heels one?
Yes.
Like the slow one?
Yes.
I tried hip hop for the first time and I left crying.
This is me. I'm
I
like
could
the
not
most
keep up, man.
uncoordinated.
I was like, I did like 2 moves. And the girl that I didn't go with her, but I ran into this girl that I knew, and she was right at the front. She's fucking dancing. She was 2. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the
Yeah. So no, I'm just gonna be hidden in the back.
no. You stay at the front with me. So I'm like doing this shit, and I'm like trying to keep up, and I'm like, and then you have to perform in front of them.
Yeah.
You have to break up into little groups, and I just froze.
But you know what? The best thing about
hey, if we freeze together, it's all right. We'll freeze together.
the best thing about that and like the environment that Dom's created is everyone just hypes each other up.
Yeah.
Everyone gets around each
Yeah.
other. It's just like I'm getting giddy now thinking about it. It's just a good feeling being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
No, she's done a great job.
I need to do that in the next 6 weeks, like every week.
Yeah. In the next 6 weeks, every week.
That's it. All right. What are we up to?
Number 5.
So what affirmations or mantras do you repeat to yourself to boost your confidence and self-belief?
So my opinion on affirmations is that they're bullshit unless you take action on them. Like, I don't think you can just look in the mirror and be like, I'm going to be really confident today. Unless you take massive action towards that, like actually try and feel it. A way you can do it as well is actually think about a time that you were confident, like shut your eyes, visualize that time that you were confident, and you can feel that right now. You have access to it literally right now. In terms of, I guess, affirmations, like what I would do to start to accept my body in all of its different phases. Like I would hug myself and say like, I love and accept you. And I would say like 10 times in the mirror to really reiterate that that's how I'm feeling. But in terms of like, if we're talking about an affirmation of like, I want to get wealthy and I want to be rich, you're not going to get there unless you actually take massive action. That's something we learned on the weekend. You have to have absolute certainty and be very fucking certain and have a vision of what you want to do and get very clear on that, because then you can start to work towards that and then take action.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like, yes, affirmations, but also like you got to take action.
You
on it.
actually got to get off your ass and actually do it.
Yeah. Because if I'm sitting here being like, I'm going to manifest a Tony Robbins ticket that's worth thousands of dollars and I'm going to manifest being on this podcast that are like when I barely knew you guys and I didn't take any action, I didn't work towards any of my goals. Do you think either of those things would have happened?
Yeah.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like things start to fall in your lap and manifest for you when you actually are doing the work to being a better person and going to where you want to go, and things will open up for you.
So tip of advice, do the fucking
Yeah,
work.
do the fucking work.
Get off your ass and fucking move. What is a healthy habit you're trying to cultivate, and what's your progress so far?
Okay. I would say healthy habit. Ooh, this one has come off the back of the Tony Robbins event. So this is supposed to be this 21 or 30 day, like little challenge thing. And when I say challenge, I'm not talking about food. Again, fuck me in this microphone.
What is going on with this microphone?
Basically, you're supposed to have a cold shower. I've actually figured out, haven't done it today, I need to do it when I get home. Cold showers are way harder than ice baths.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you were doing them,
Way harder.
Yeah.
Way harder. And I don't know if it's because you're not fully immersed in it or what the fuck it is, but it's way fucking harder.
do you know what I do to solve it?
I jump up and down.
I brush my teeth while I'm
yeah.
while I'm.
I feel
having-
like
Or just
you got to do
get
something.
a hold of your breath. That's
Yeah.
it. Get a hold of your breathing, and like as soon as you've got that,
Because it's literally the first 30, it's the same as the ice bath. Like it's like the first 30 seconds that are fucked.
Yep.
And then you're actually well and truly fine.
because that first initial feeling, you feel your brain going, and as soon as you can just be like, you're fine.
It's
Yeah.
also way
Fine.
harder in winter. Must I
It is.
say?
It is.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the ice bath that we did, it was quite a cold day. It was 13 degrees.
Yeah. And there was 35 bags of ice in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Ish.
I didn't tell anyone, but I think that might have been the coldest one I did.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to tell you guys when you're about to get in it.
No.
So in terms of that, it was like you're supposed to do a cold shower. You're supposed to read 10 books of a book that's going to help you like level up, or like listen to a podcast that's educational. So me listening to that other one that I kind of do anyway was easy. Then you're supposed to do a thing called priming. So basically it's how you change your state instantly. So it's through your physiology. Why do I always say it wrong? Can you say it?
Physiology.
Yeah, that. I always want to say it. I always say fucking, it sounds wrong coming out of my mouth. That. Then where your focus goes, like what you're focusing on. So the whole where your focus goes, your energy flows. And then your language. So there's a thing in terms of your body. I'm going to demonstrate it. No sweatpants? No. Okay. So what you're supposed to do is
Should we do this with you?
Oh, do you want to do it with me?
Yeah. Okay, go.
So when you're up, you're going to breathe. So from here, you're going to and breathe out through your nose. No, with your nose. Just with your nose.
Oh,
No mouth. Can't judge. We're going to go for 10.
Go.
Are you ready?
let's go.
So basically what that's supposed to do, then you do 3 rounds of it. You take 10, like I think it's 30 seconds to sit with yourself.
Yeah.
And then you go again and again and again. So it's supposed to get you to stop like thinking. And then you can start to think about things that you're grateful for. So we did this massive guided meditation about things in your life that you are actually grateful for. So it can be like, I'm grateful for that I have a roof over my head. It can be the smallest things. And then from there, because that's like your focus, what you're focusing on. So things that you're grateful for rather than thinking like I'm feeling super negative. And then your language and stuff, I guess, is how you kind of go about your day and how you like show up like, oh, fuck, I got to get up and go to work. I get to go to work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
again, it's the whole focus thing. Like if you're thinking negative, no shit, that negativity is going to follow you in throughout the day.
Just changing the
So
language.
I guess the ice bath and the priming, the cold shower and the priming is what I'm trying to bring in. Every day I was supposed to do it this morning, but I slept in. Had to rush to work.
We'll forgive you. We'll
It's all
forgive
right.
you. What is a negative thought pattern that you're trying to break?
Okay, so this belief came up on the weekend. My limiting belief was that I can't be in a relationship and run my own business and be successful, and which was very interesting to me. And when we did the whole Dickens process and I wrote out what I'd already lost, so obviously I lost my old relationship, but I also know that I needed to leave that to be where I am. So I think that was really interesting. So I want to try and do more work around a new belief that I can actually have both. Because in my head, it was like you have one or the other.
Yeah.
You don't have both. So that was very interesting to me. And there's no evidence of that. I've just placed that rule on myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I knew how to juggle both. Like I got into that relationship and started my business at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, well, one area is going to be more. Yeah. So that was like something that I'm trying to change. And I know that I'll attract the right person in my life when I'm ready.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
What is one act of kindness you've recently undertaken?
That I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
The band.
Yeah.
The band on my wrist. So it says the kindness crew. It says choose kindness. So it's about suicide prevention. And I actually didn't know that it's 9 Australians like every day that take their own life. Like I think that's fucked.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
9 a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. So basically what it is, I met this lady in Gold Coast at this event and she came on stage with her 2 daughters. So they're 12 and 14, Mia and Zali, and their mum's name is Eslana. She came on stage and the guy who was running the event actually spoke on her behalf and was talking about like what their offerings with these bands and these keychains. It's on my keys over there. And basically her eldest daughter who was 16 took her own life because of bullying. And like everyone in that room would have just felt that was like fucked. And then from there they were explaining like why they've created the kindness crew and like what it represents. So it represents, you know, obviously trying to prevent suicide and make awareness around it. And they're originally supposed to be like $15 per piece. Now I paid $100 for 2 on purpose. Like I literally went up to her after the event. I said I would have paid $1,000 for 2 things purely because of her story. And it truly is not about what they're selling. It's about your story and about who you are as a person. So to me, that was purchasing that was an act of kindness, but I was selling them at my event and I still have heaps left over. I'm going to sell them at my next event as well.
Yeah.
To support her and her family. And I'm actually staying with her in Gold Coast when I fly up in 2 weeks. So it's like, it's again, all about who you fucking meet.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a massive thing because I kept thinking about her and I was like, right, well, I need to do something if I'm still thinking about her.
Yeah.
And that's when I asked her, can I sell it like on her behalf? So that would be my act of kindness recently, the biggest one.
That's beautiful. I love that.
What's something that you're proud of?
Where I am, to be honest, like where I'm going, like I think I've just leveled up a fucking lot, especially in the last 3 months drastically. But, you know, the past year has been huge.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So last but not least, the podcast is called Evolve to Thrive. How do you think people can evolve in their everyday lives to thrive in their lives?
I think listening to stuff like this is really beneficial.
Yeah.
I think no matter how many listeners or guests you have on and that sort of stuff, I think that there's probably one that, you know, they can relate to. In terms of like wanting to, I guess, evolve, my biggest thing to you would be like start questioning yourself. If you don't like the behavior that you're doing, start thinking about why is that? And then I would suggest like the whole like immersing yourself in that. So going to events, and then I would really suggest seeking a mentor, because if you don't know how to level up from where you're at, you can close that gap versus if they're there and they're 10 years ahead of you and you're back here, you can close that gap by literally having them mentor you to get to where they are and get that shit done way faster.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest things.
Yeah. Sometimes you need like external people to pull you out of your shit.
Yeah. Because like I said before, the whole, you can't read the label when you're in the glass jar. You can't see the shit that you're in and until something really drastic happens to you or until someone points it out, and you need to be willing to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
You are spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are such an inspiration to listen to. I could literally talk to you for hours, and I'm going to continue unpacking your brain.
Yeah.
You
Message me anytime.
Oh,
we will be.
I'll be I won't be messaging you. I'll be on your doorstep like, help me.
Help me. I can't wait to November. Hurry up.
Yeah. But honestly, we are looking so forward to all of the future workshops that you're going to be running. They're going to be amazing.
Yeah.
We will be visiting you in Gold Coast for
100%.
sure.
Come.
Yes.
You might spark a bit of manifestation on my behalf, I think.
You want to move?
Kayla and I constantly have this conversation. We're like, when are we going? When are we going?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, this is the thing.
This is the question. Why
You've
don't
made
they?
us take action.
That's it. Take action.
Take massive action and be absolutely fucking certain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
wow.
when you can't, I found that every time I'm up there, you can't not be happy.
It's very much, to me, it's the lifestyle. It's slow. To me, I'm like a lot less anxious there. Like Melbourne's very like go, go, go.
Yeah.
And do you come from a small town actually?
I grew up in the western suburbs, like
Okay.
Melton.
So are you from like,
We're both from the burbs.
right.
Yeah.
So you have a holiday house in Echuca?
Yes.
Yes.
I love it there.
Yeah. So like Seymour's not like a Chuka, but it's like what I'm getting at is that like it's very slow.
slow.
And then to Melbourne, it's like very go, go, go. And that's why I love Gold Coast. And like what I'm trying to put out, the whole wellness, holistic, all of that shit. So it's like so popular up there.
Yeah.
So popular.
Yeah.
In Melbourne, like NLP is something that's really foreign still. But up in Gold Coast, like that's just a place to be for where I am right now. And who knows if I'm be there forever or I'll move around or not. But if you can take anything away from this chat is think about why you're not going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something I'm going to be pondering on tonight. Why have I not made the move yet?
No.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
So fun.
Because,
Thanks for having me.
We're definitely going to be thinking about this. But just to wrap up the episode, because again, we will probably have to get you on again.
Hey, that's so fun.
Once
be
you've done that
sure.
NLP, we'll
Oof.
definitely have you back
Yeah.
on.
Hey, that's only 3 weeks away.
Oh, 3 weeks.
Shame. She's coming back on in a month.
No, we'll definitely have you back. But for the time being, can you please let the listeners know where they can find you?
So my Instagram is called @Rani Curry. It used to be Evolution Coaching, but I've changed it. And then my podcast is called Conscious Connections on Instagram .pod, but it's just Conscious Connections on Spotify. And that's pretty much where I exist. Those 2 platforms. Otherwise, yeah, there's no point coming to my gym and trying to get coached by me, to be honest, now, because I'm leaving.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're interested in like fitness, but it's definitely going to be well and truly into mindset and how to create the life that you want pretty much by November. So
Yeah.
not very far away.
You probably become my life coach, to be fair.
Yeah, both of our life coaches.
That's totally fun.
I can't wait.
Oh, and the last thing actually, so it's Sunday, November 26th. I'm basically running a new event called Conscious Connections, the event. Basically just in celebration of creating the podcast, which is what I've wanted to do for a very long time. That's going to be like basically a lot of stuff we chatted about today. I'm going to briefly cover my story, but it's going to be a lot about how you can create the life that you want. How can you create your, how can you create like sustainable habits in terms of feeling grateful and stuff. We're going to be doing guided meditations, probably a light breath work, some goal setting, similar to what we had, but on a well and truly different level.
Have you got tickets and stuff available now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm still deciding.
So keep an eye out on your
Yes.
Instagram for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I think this one was going to be double, to be honest. I think it will be upwards of like 40.
As in dollars or people?
No, people.
Yeah.
Oh, dollars. Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. Yes.
We're talking
Sorry,
dollar
yes.
bills.
But yeah, I think that it's also for male and female inclusive. Like it's not just for females again. Again, I'm literally not a female only coach. And I'm also, for my first event, it wasn't supposed to be females only, but I just attract that. So for any males listening, feel free to come along, or if you have your partner that wants to come along, bring them along. Pre-warning, you're not going to be sitting next to each other. You're going to be sitting next to strangers. So get ready to get uncomfortable, but also too, it's a chance to grow as individuals and come together and make that relationship even stronger. Or if you're single, it's just a great way to introduce and like, I guess, deepen your relationship with yourself if you don't have one yet.
Also, I highly encourage anyone who is, nervous about going to an event on their own solo. It will change your life because you might find your new best friend.
Yeah, and a lot of girls, like there were only a handful of you guys that came actually with friends. Otherwise, they were clients and they hadn't met each other yet. And some of them are literally going out for coffee and shit on their own or training together on their own, literally because they both came by themselves.
Oh, we love that.
It opens
Love
the
to see
door
that.
up to so many opportunities. So everybody, tip of advice, put yourself out there, do some mindset, do the work on yourself, and it will change your life.
That's it.
That's it.
I think that's it. Shall we finish it?
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.